When you're first starting out with junk journals, you might not be sure what kind of journal you want or what to make. There are tons of videos and resources online. You can also buy junk journals that have been made by junk journal artists, or you can make it yourself. So this is one that I made myself, and it is an eclectic one. It has paper and fabric, and I've used my sewing machine to make it. And if you use your sewing machine, it's very, very damaging on the machine, and it's damaging on the needles. So that's your disclaimer. And I actually just stitched this inside with my sewing machine, but I have since covered it up. It's like right there in that spot, and I've covered it up so you can't see it. But depending on the kind of machine you use, depending on how thick the pages are and the book covers, you can absolutely sew them with a sewing machine. So the second one here is with a Coptic stitch. And the Coptic stitch is a very old stitch. It's been done for thousands and thousands of years, and I think it started in the Middle East, and it was a religious, only the scholars and the religious people made books. So this is the Coptic stitch, and after the Coptic people somewhere in the Middle East. But one great thing about this stitch is that the books lay completely flat, so you don't have to worry about the pages opening or not being able to work because it's flat. So number 3 is one that I used with fabric. I colored on fabric, I painted on fabric, and you see the closing that I have is the rubber band that came from around my collard greens. So I absolutely love junk journals that are really made from junk. So scrap fabrics are on here. There's also a piece of cardboard that I got in a swap from somebody, and these are the discarded stickers. So I don't throw anything out. I find ways that I can add them into my junk journal because they really do add a lot of depth and texture, interest into the journal. So I would encourage you to find things around your house that you already have. And here's an example of a page that I made that's made out of fabric, and I used some markers to draw on it. So there are absolutely no rules at all when it comes to making junk journals. Here's a little pocket that I made, and just really use what you have. And junk journaling is such a great and relaxing hobby, and it can be extremely expensive or it can be extremely inexpensive, deciding on what kind of junk journaler you are, what kind of junk journals you like to do. Here's some little ephemera that I made to go with it, some little buttons and newspaper, magazines, and fabric. And speaking of magazines, this is another excellent way to start a junk journal. So if you go to one of those free little libraries, oftentimes they have leftover magazines, and it doesn't cost you anything. And you take some glue and you glue 3 or 4 pages together so that the pages are a little bit stiff and sturdy, and then you can embellish as you choose. These are great for painting on, for collaging on, for drawing on. And here's number 5. This is a repurposed book. So I'm a huge fan of Star Trek, always have been. And I have taken this book, and that picture on the front came from maybe it came from the jacket. I don't know, because everything else is black and white. So it could have come from the dust jacket. And you can see here it starts to come apart a little bit. I need to washi tape that. But just like the magazine, I've glued 2 or 3 pages together, so it makes it really sturdy, and you can put a lot of material on there as far as watercolors, paint, crayons, markers, glue collages. And here's number 6. And number 6 is a soft cover, and this also came to the mail. This was the advertisement for stamps, and the graphics in there were so beautiful. The pictures were beautiful. And again, I sewed down the middle, but I've already covered it up so you can't even see it. So depending on how you use your junk journal, there are just so many options, and don't feel like, you have to go to the craft store and buy a bunch of stuff, because use what you have.